Japanese executive customer interrupts my presentation with a very strange question and derails the whole thing. And then 30 seconds later, he's asleep.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I leave that meeting going, "Oh, that was a spectacular failure." But all my colleagues and drinks when we had drinks after the meeting, they're like, "What are you talking about? That's a great sign. That means he's relaxed. There's nothing to worry about." And so that was fun. And a Westerner just thinks that's a disaster if the customer falls asleep.
May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Real Gaijin, unveiling the real Japan, an American expat's inside look. Now it's time for another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts. Summarized podcast. Good morning, Japan time, and good afternoon to our guest who's calling in today from Chicago, which is also my hometown. I am Mark Kennedy. I'm the host of the Real Gaijin Substack and also the related AMA or Ask Me Anything Real Gaijin podcast. It's our pleasure to introduce a good friend, Mike Thuresson. Mike is a hometown boy from Chicago, just like me. The two of us actually got to know each other a little bit about 7 years ago when I had the pleasure of reviewing his first book, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But today he's got a new book out and we're going to hear all about it. But first, Mike, you want to say hello to everybody?
Good morning, everybody in Japan. And yeah, I'm in Chicago. So good afternoon to anyone who's over here. Um,
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Good. Just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, thank you for everyone who has joined. Keep in mind, this is an Ask Me Anything live stream, meaning use the chat functionality to put a comment in or ask Mike literally anything. And I'll be monitoring that. We'll read your question on the air. Also, you can ask for a friend. We won't read your name off unless you want us to, so you can remain anonymous. Also, the recording of this program will be out within, give me 24, 36 hours or so, maybe 36 hours since it's summertime, and we'll get that out on both Substack and YouTube. All right, let's jump right into it. Mike, first of all, maybe ground us. Tell us about your trip to Japan, which is actually kind of a round trip. We want to hear, how did you get involved with Japan?
Oh, way back originally. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I've had like a number of people I think on your show have had a couple of stints in Japan. The first one being short, and then the second one 18 years. That first short stint was around the millennium, around 2000. I was in my first career in Los Angeles. I was a journalist in Los Angeles. But I had a very deep personal connection with one person in Japan. That was one of my best friends in college. Was a Japanese exchange student and a rugby teammate. I played rugby, and I got to be good buddies with him. And he invited me out to Japan in 2000 for the Millennium New Year, big celebration, and hosted me, showed me a great time. And I was pretty young at the time, in my early 20s, and wanting to write more creatively. And like a lot of people do, get that inspiration overseas sometimes to blossom. And so, long story short, about 6 months to 8 months later, um, I landed a visa by being able to teach business English in the Tokyo area. But at the same time, I landed a freelance writing job uh,
Oh,
do on the side. And one of your guests, Terry Lloyd, uh, his magazine, Japan Inc. magazine, with the at symbol for the A, he offered me a writing job. And so
oh,
that's 2000. I moved to Japan from Los Angeles for a 1-year contract just to, yeah, legally, I was a business English teacher, but I did very little of that. And I did a ton of work for Terry and his magazine, which was a great time and really
oh.
changed my life. And he's done that for a lot of people, giving them an opportunity. And so that was my first stint in Japan, 2000, 2001, writing my head off about technology, the internet boom in Japan at the time, pre-cell phone, really. pre-social media by 15 years, and uh,
Huh.
but that was
Right.
short. But I did meet my future wife during that time, and
Uh-huh.
moved back. Yeah, I can get into that. Moved back to Los Angeles. Eventually, she moved there. Stayed there for a good 7 years as a
Oh,
technology. Um, I got more into technology, and long story short, 7 years later, when we were already married in Los Angeles, I moved back to Japan, 2008, and started my salaryman career.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And so I've been
But
kind of
your first now we want to get into the previous book in a minute, but your first salaryman. Well, first of all, what is a salaryman for anybody who's uninitiated?
yeah. Well, it's a a person who works a job in Japan, very long hours in an office, is one definition,
Okay.
or a man who
But generally white collar, right?
a white collar man, yeah, who works an urban job in Japan is kind of the
Okay.
definition. Yeah.
And you became a gaijin or a foreign salaryman, essentially, like I was at the time. And that was a little unusual, and you decided to record your experiences.
Yeah, I went from being, and this is the setup for the first book, the Salaryman book. I went from working in a software startup in Los Angeles in 2008, where we wore flip-flops and shorts and surfer shirts to the office, and I got a job at one of the most old traditional manufacturing companies in Japan as the only foreigner in the office. And so that one in 2000 was the shock that sent me writing about it. And uh, long metamorphosis, like I started as a journal. I was a writer by trade really before that. And I turned that journal into a blog. And then I found a manga illustrator just
Mhm.
searching
Oh,
online who would do it. I teach her English and she'd give me drawings. And, uh,
wow. Really?
started a blog
Huh.
during a 10-year career, as a salaryman from 2008 to 2017. Later in, the second half of that term, I really developed the blog, which was called Manner Mode at the time. And
Oh,
it was illustrated. It was a lot of what's in the book, but dispersed and sort of not connected. But that was like a 3-year thing of doing the blog, and learning how to work with a manga artist was part of it, and loved that. And that was how the book really developed. But I had an endless amount of stories. That's the most
yeah.
important.
Okay, good. And then, so just getting back to you for a second, you ended up working for Rakuten, right? So in e-commerce.
Yeah, when I graduated from being a salaryman in 2017, I got a job with Amazon Japan
Oh,
for 3 years. And after I left Amazon Japan, I ended up at Rakuten, uh,
oh,
you know,
oh,
a competitor. So it was,
yeah.
you know, it was an experience that I was able to translate into another role.
And this was as a project or product manager or project manager?
Product manager. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and what does that mean in an e-commerce company?
Yeah. You basically own a business, a small business, but you own a product or a suite of products, and
Oh,
you're responsible for launching them, positioning them, driving sales online for them,
oh,
conceiving new ways to improve the sales or conversion on the website, traffic building, working with marketing teams and
um,
engineering teams. So it's kind of owning a product, a little business within a big company.
neat, neat. And then, so you did that for a while, but then you returned to Chicago briefly, and then you're back in Japan, right?
Yeah, I've had some boomerang situations. I after Amazon Japan and before Rakuten, I did try to move back to the US with Amazon. Um,
Oh,
at the tail end of my Amazon Japan days, I spent 3.5 years there as a product manager. I Since I published a book, my first book, The
mm,
Salaryman, on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which is their platform,
Oh,
it's the leading
got
self
it.
platform. And I published my book while I was at Amazon Japan using their product. And so I got a job with their Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing team in the US. They were
Oh, now this makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that you were a proven writer.
yeah, they liked that I knew product management, but they liked that I knew the product as an actual author. And
Yeah.
moved middle of COVID. This is 2020, and everybody's working remotely, right? And they were open to me being in Chicago. Uh,
Oh,
so I took a swing and moved back in the middle of COVID to Chicago, my childhood home where I am now, and doing this video now, and um, worked on the Kindle Direct Publishing team as a product manager. That didn't go so well for lots
oh,
of reasons.
okay.
But long story short, it was a dispersed team. Everyone's remote. It was very hard to work remotely with a team you never met, and I wasn't really ready to move from Japan, I think. And so, long
Mm.
story short, it was a 6-month hiatus from my Japan residency.
Oh,
uh,
okay.
I ended up moving back the next spring in 2021.
In the
To
middle of COVID.
Yeah, a little bit yeah, kind of at the end of the peak.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're now back to being a salaryman again in
Well,
Japan?
I, I would say I'm an unemployed salaryman, which is another
Oh,
thread altogether.
okay. It's
I'm
complicated.
Yeah, I'm doing contract work as a product manager these days.
Oh,
It's been harder to the AI has actually, influenced done a lot of great things for making people more productive. Obviously, it's a great thing, powerful and wonderful. But it's very disruptive to
mm.
especially product management or engineers in this environment. And so
Ah,
their job market is a lot tougher than it was when I originally joined Amazon
ah,
Japan in
okay.
2017. That. So it's more of like an adjustment I've had to make to be like a contract product manager now in Japan.
Got it. All right. Well, now we're fully up to date.
Yeah.
Please tell us about your new book. What is this?
Okay. So Salarymanhood. Yeah, you have it nicely there, but for those who couldn't see it. So this is if you remember the first book, The Salaryman, I headed my sections using a type of Japanese poetry called Senryu.
Mhm.
Senryu are 3-line poems, 17 syllables, so 5, 7, 5 across the 3 lines. And this is
So that's like a haiku, but a little
related to
different?
haiku, same format as far as the meter and the structure and the tradition. It's a little newer than haiku, but still a few hundred years old. And I've
Okay.
always loved this. There's a contest in Japan that's been going on for almost 40 years called Salaryman Senryu,
Oh,
and it's published by the Daiichi Life Insurance Company. And
okay.
it's been going on for 40 years, very popular, and they post the best ones every year at the end of
Mm.
the missions. And everyday people, working people, submit their little cries for help, you know, in these little beautiful poems. And I use those as inspiration as like section headers for the Salaryman book by theme.
Got it.
And so that's where I first really got into them, and it helped me learn Japanese or practice it because it's
Mm.
all in Japanese. Uh, and I always thought this is something I have to get involved in, a form of humor and expression and everyday life in Japan. It had everything I was looking for, and that's what the original book was about: was being a foreign seller, all
Right.
Japanese environment. I'm like, I've always wanted to put a Western spin on that. American Salaryman Senryu is the Jap. So that was the inspiration. It was, taking something already proven to be really modern, but have a history, and seeing what I could do with it as like a next in my series for the Salaryman. And so I call it
So
Salaryman Hood.
yes, yes, I got the your grabbing on the brand of Salaryman. That's great. Hey, tell us, your process because it seems to me that you came up with the ideas and then you sketched some things and then you worked with a couple of collaborators to do the actual graphic portion, right?
Yeah. So each poem, there's 50 of them in the book.
Mm,
It's a joke book, really, in the Senryu format.
mm,
And each one has a manga illustration and a Japanese translation or spin on my situation or a joke. So it's an English and a Japanese poem right next to each other. And yeah, the manga designer artist I found for this book specifically, very talented and patient man.
mm.
His name Kazuhiro Yoshida, and he fully understands the salaryman situation. He could be one. So everything just was so flowed so naturally with him. And I sketch I would sketch the drawings myself.
Okay.
You I'm not an artist or a drawer, I'm terrible, but there's a lot of tools to help you get it halfway there, now, if you
Yeah.
can draw. So I'm very specific about the image, but he takes it to a whole nother level of
Yeah.
pure Japanese aesthetic and sentiment. So I worked with him on each of the 50 uh, jokes, and then the other collaborator is the Japanese translator. His
Mm.
name is Meshida. That's his professional stage name. He's a stand-up Japanese comedian who has
Right.
his YouTube channel, which you got to check out, all of you. He does his shows in English for tourists
Oh.
in Tokyo.
Oh, yes. Yes. I've seen them. Okay. Great. I'll put
And
the link in the final write up here. Great.
I found him years ago because he used to really be a salaryman before he gave that up to become a stand-up comedian. And he just had some hilarious salaryman jokes from his point of view. And I thought this is somebody I really had to have as the book is so much better if it's not just a Westerner's point of view, but it
Yeah.
has grounding in their points of view, my collaborators in there too.
Got it. And kinda I'm imagining that well, after reading it, I mean, I can confirm this on my own, but essentially, you're going after some of the, like, absurdity of being a salaryman again, and some of the things that seem, like, counterintuitive. Is that a good way of characterizing it, or how would you say?
It's having fun with the culture gap both
Yeah.
ways. There's a lot of self-depreciating humor in there too, which is just like the Salaryman book. I'm not taking shots at Japanese culture. It's more just exposing some very funny, I think, and unsolvable culture gap things. Like I'm not I don't have any grounding in the language academically in Japanese, and I didn't grow up dreaming of coming here. I just sort of plopped in as a salaryman, as a West Coast startup dude. And so it's that's sort of the angle I always take is I follow the rules the best I can, and uh, there's so much of it and unknowable until you're really in a traditional environment. So, like for
And
example,
mhm, yeah.
when I'm Asian and a Japanese executive customer interrupts my presentation with a very strange question and derails the whole thing, and then 30 seconds later he's asleep.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I leave that meeting going, "Oh, that was a spectacular failure." But all my colleagues and drinks when we had drinks after the meeting, they're like, "What are you talking about? That's a great sign. That means he's relaxed. There's nothing to worry about." And so that was but and a Westerner just thinks that's a disaster if the
Yeah.
customer falls asleep. So
Yeah, normally. Okay. That's a
that's
good example. What's some other example without giving away too much here, but can you give us a couple of other favorite chapters?
well, jokes. It's not only business situation to send you cover the lifestyle of being a middle class, regular white collar person in Tokyo, not an expat living in Roppongi or any fancy area. I was living the merry life in the western Setagaya
Yeah,
suburbs,
right.
Tokyo. So there's just so much. Like I would take my recycled cans out every week to recycle my cans. And that's sort of like the neighbors are looking at you. You're the only foreigner. But it's a good chance to chit chat and see the neighborhood. But there was a retired salaryman neighbor who just kept an eye on me and was very friendly and very inquisitive. But when I switched from premium Japanese beer to Daisan no malt beer to save money, he noticed it right away.
Uh,
And he just sort of went, "Ah, Daisan beer. Go, oh, things are tough, aren't they, for you?" And I like very disappointed. I went from the bubble era beer
yeah,
to something cheap and modern, and so that's what the book covers, that slice of life too.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, that's definitely something you don't hear about, and it's fascinating because. And by the way, I actually wrote an article about this not too long ago, but as you might be aware, the taxes are going to change very soon on beer. So as a result,
Yeah.
that your favorite new beer is going to be more expensive, and the real beer is going to be more reasonably priced. So he'll have to change his expectations. But that's hilarious. That's right. Good. Well, that's good. Yeah, I remember the stories about commuting as well, since that's something that everyone that works in Japan, in Tokyo at least,
Yeah.
experiences. Great. Good. Hey, a quick shout out. We have a bunch of people who have joined us. So, first of all, thank you. Please put questions and comments into the chat, and we'll get them right off to Mike. So, tell us a little bit more about the collaboration between these two gentlemen. Well, first of all, how you found them essentially by using what, like the equivalent of Fiverr, or yeah, how did you find these people?
So the manga artist, Yoshida-san, he has a LinkedIn page, so he's a modern manga artist,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
doesn't speak much English, but that's, of course, I was like, "That's fine. Yeah, it's probably good." Like, it just increases
right.
the humor, and my Japanese is so, so it's like, you know, we have fun trying to figure out what we're trying to say. But he was very eager and responsive, and he does his own 3-panel short manga
Yeah.
comp. So he, naturally, and he was like a lot of Japanese, he has that grounding as a kid reading Senryu. So he understood and he was fascinated with that I was interested in using that medium.
Ah, okay.
But
And has he participated in the Daiichi Seimei contest?
sorry, say that again?
Has he participated in the Salaryman Senryu contest?
No, no, he's not a writer himself so much. He does some short comics actually, though he does write some of it, but his stock and trade is the drawings themselves.
Okay, so true collaboration. Hey, by the way, speaking of that contest, though, are you able to participate? Or-
Not that I know of. That's a good question.
Ah,
I I,
new challenge.
yeah, I'd love to get involved. If anybody from the Dai-ichi Life Insurance Company is watching, uh, this is a whole nother market for you.
Oh,
Selling life to
well,
us salarymen who are exhausted.
yeah, maybe you ought to pitch it. You could pitch it in English. You could have a, who knows, maybe they'd be interested.
Yes, yes. I think, there's a lot of angles that I could, probably go from here. That would be one of them.
Okay. Okay, very, very good. Well, we don't want to give away the whole book, but first of all, how do you get your hands on this book?
Okay, so it's on Amazon, first of all. So in
Okay.
Japan or anywhere Amazon sells in the world, you can buy it and have it shipped to you, and it'll be there in 3, 4 days at least.
Yeah, that's right.
But I have some, outside of Japan, there's some higher end print on demand suppliers that I used for thicker paper or hardcover versions of this, that are
Oh,
a little more premium. And like, I think this isn't a novel, obviously, and it's a joke book and it has a lot of content notes in it, but it is highly visual. So it's kind of like almost like a coffee table or a book you share at
mm,
events, that kind of thing. So I thought it's important to have higher end premium paper versions available. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one yet in Japan, but US, Europe, there are higher end, nicer paper versions than the Amazon version.
Oh, okay. Well, as a matter of fact, as long as you went down that rabbit hole, so to speak, I'm curious, and I imagine several people that are listening. I know one person who's online here who has self-published a book. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how you do that. How do you go about publishing your own book?
Well, if like the way to do it is really you can write. It depends on the type of book you're writing, but if let's say it's mostly text, like most people are doing. Like my first book,
Usually.
it costs nothing to start in a word processor and just write the thing. And there are resources out there that duplicate everything a traditional publisher would do: editing, copy editing, developmental editing, interior design, cover design. All of those resources are available on a freelance basis on marketplaces
Mhm.
like Reedsy and Fiverr. And these are marketplaces that cater to this kind of endeavor, self-published work like books. So that is what I did for the first book. I found designers that helped me with the cover and whatnot and the editing using marketplaces. And I simply just iterated on the manuscript with them until it was ready to publish. And Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing is very intuitive. You really
Oh,
just upload your finished PDF of your manuscript and your cover, and it shows you the layout, and you check it, and it tells you if there's errors and if it looks funny or if there's anything that is hanging over the edge and unreadable,
mhm.
it doesn't publish. So it's very intuitive and easy to use. That's Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. There's alternatives outside Japan, um, and that's the publishing process. Um, but then
Okay. That sounds
once you
pretty easy.
well, writing is not
Well,
easy. Um,
that beyond that point, but the actual fit. Well, I guess it's not fit. This is an ebook format, essentially.
no, print on demand is available too.
Oh,
So copy of one, right? So
yes.
it as a product page on Amazon, just like anything you buy. My book looks like any other product on
Okay.
Amazon, on any page in the world where Amazon sells, any country. And yeah, you put it in your cart and you buy it. And you can buy, yeah, Amazon offers ebook and print just like this, the print on
Yes.
demand.
Oh, so all right. So I actually used Amazon to purchase this,
Yeah,
and you're welcome, by the way. And
thank you.
but in any case, so this was literally not just sitting on the shelf somewhere in some Amazon warehouse. It was they didn't print anything until I placed my order.
Right.
Oh,
It's
wow!
a
And
it,
it came within 3 days, all the way from America.
it's amazing. Yeah, there a lot of it's amazing how little is known still widely about how print on demand works. But they don't print it till there's an order. There's no
Wow, it's
stop.
like a T-shirt type of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
pretty cool. Well, it looks great. It feels like a normal, book. It's a soft cover, but all right. And then, so when you're, I don't know anything about this, but as an author, you have the option of making it either an ebook or print on demand or one or the other.
You can do all of them at the same time. You can do ebook and print, and then you can add an audio book too, and
Oh,
all
and
all on your page. So the custom, you go to my site. This book is a bad example because I only made it in the print format, not ebook, because it's so visual. But the first book, The Salaryman, was print and ebook, and still is. So you can buy either one.
okay,
Um,
hey, we have a question about this. It's amazing, and you have access to all Amazons worldwide. So that's more of a comment. I think this is a person that actually published the same way. So, in other words, no matter where your readers are, the print on demand happens in their local market or
right.
oh, okay. Oh, wow, amazing. And what about like pricing? Do you determine your own pricing?
Yeah. Yeah, I skimmed over that. That's the good part, really, for some people is you sit there and you go by country and set the price, and you see what
Oh,
portion of the royalty you get. Uh,
oh,
and there's a printing cost there if you're not doing ebook and you're doing the print. There's a printing cost, and Amazon takes what is it? It's about 40% share of the royalty for print. So they take that out of it. Rest is to
is
you.
that
But
high, low, or normal?
when when you think about it, though, okay, Amazon takes you get a 60% royalty on your print book. So, after they subtract their printing costs, you still get yeah, you're getting 70 or 60% of the royalty, which
Hmm.
traditional publishing, let's say you get lucky enough and a publisher wants to publish your book, they might at most give you 15-20% royalty.
Oh, okay. So it's actually a pretty good deal for writers.
It is I mean, there's it's great if you can get a great publishing deal with a big publisher. They handle so many things like sales and promotion, although that is changing. That is changing. They're expecting you to bring the audience and the customers a lot more now, um, than they did.
Oh,
So that yeah, it is really it's a great option. There's nothing that makes it look amateur by doing self-publishing. It can look just as good as a book that you see sitting in Tsutaya or Barnes and Noble in the US. If you put the money into the freelance editing and design, no difference whatsoever. Difference is you have to do all the marketing and sales yourself if you self-publish.
yeah,
Um, a traditional publisher will pick up a lot of that, but not as much as you think.
interesting. And hey, I have another question back on the pricing. I bought a book through Kindle the other day or yesterday, and it's by a very famous author. I mean, you might have noticed that the New York Times issued their 50 best thrillers of the current century on Friday. So I was
Uh,
going for one of those. I noticed though, even though this is like an extremely well-known author, that the price was already discounted by like a huge amount. Like it showed on the Kindle screen, you can it said the original price with an X through it, and then the current purchase price was like a third. And I was thinking, wow, well, that's kind of a large discount. Why is that? Do you determine your own discounts after a while, or what?
if you're self-publishing on Amazon, um, no, you don't run deals. You can't. I think that is the publishers who work with Amazon as vendors
Oh,
can do that kind of promotion just like any other thing on sale at Amazon.
oh, okay,
You can run deals on other channels, like not Amazon, but you can sell there's other places to promote your book and sell it at a discount or give it away. Um,
okay.
so, but the strike through price on Amazon for my book, I don't think I've ever seen an option to actually do that.
Okay, strike through pricing. All right. Well, hey, final thing about the pricing here. So, just out of curiosity, I forgot what how much does this cost?
In Japan, it's under 3,000 yen,
All
and
right. Okay.
US about $5.
Oh, okay. That's a big discrepancy there.
I guess the value of the dollar would put this higher in yen than that, but you
Oh,
know, you have to find comparable titles in each market
ah,
and look at what this royalty would be. And I'm not trying to retire off this, but I want to
all
make
right.
it portable enough. But also, this was a 2-year passion project, self-funded.
Yeah. Oh,
Indie artists, talking about there's an acceptance generally for indie artists or writers. You should price a little above what a standard paperback novel that's a mass produced
yeah.
traditional publisher novel. You can put a premium on that because it's understood.
Okay. All right. Mike, thank you very much for sharing that. And if anyone has any questions about self-publishing, put them in the chat, and if we haven't already addressed them, we will get to that. Tell us a little bit more about, well, first of all, your original book that I reviewed 7 years ago, The Salaryman, An American Dude Becomes a Tokyo White-Collar Warrior, a Memoir. This is still available online too, right, for purchase?
Yeah, these books are packaged as a series on Amazon, so you don't have to buy them both, but they're grouped together so that the link to each page is right there embedded within each.
Okay.
So they are part of a series. Right.
Okay, got it. Good. Well, and since you brought that up, it's a little early, but I'm curious: is this series going to continue?
Oh, absolutely. This
Ah,
the Salarymanhood is gonna be a series of joke books. Um,
oh,
like joke books are they lend themselves to having another version, a second round, part 2, part 3, like truly jokes, number 25. That was like a joke book growing up where I had all 25 or 30 of the joke book set. So this is something, yeah, this will continue Salarymanhood as a series, not necessarily only published by me. I'm thinking to try to acquire the best jokes from other foreign residents in Japan, not just men, of course.
oh, great
Obviously,
idea.
women in all countries, not just American, and try to think that way. As far as turning this into something that, just like the Japanese do with Salaryman Senryu, that contest I mentioned, it's everybody for themselves. The best ones rise to the top, and get published by Daiichi Life Insurance in the paper. I'd love to do that with this. Have one-offs of the best poems that people can come up with, and it would be a riot judging them and discussing them.
Oh, that's a great idea. And actually, you mentioned this before, but a salary man essentially is male. What about salary woman? Has anyone done anything with that concept?
Well, it hasn't stopped the Salaryman Senryu contest. It has the same name, and it hasn't stopped women, of course, office ladies or executives or all in
Right,
entrepreneurs
right.
from submitting. So I think it's understood. It's just a trademark or just a branding
Yeah.
name. Um,
Mhm.
so obviously, yeah, there's a whole great point of view from that gender, and yeah. So I think it's obviously open to anybody.
Oh, wow. So okay. And then maybe this is a segue into, are there any other formats besides the book format that you're contemplating getting the material out in? Like live performances or animations or
Oh yeah. Poem. A guy standing up reading poetry is not what I I really want to do. Um, there's if you read the book, you'll understand there's a lot of context behind the jokes
mm,
that could lend themselves to stand up or some other sort of form of comedy that's live. You know, situational comedy is a big interest of mine. Turning
ah,
these situations into sketch comedy, um,
oh,
or even a sitcom, and that is the
oh,
real.
wow.
That is
Great.
Yeah, that is the real, like you mentioned, you tagged it up in your introduction, your very
Ah,
gracious intro. You said that this is Office Space set in the movie Office Space set in
yeah.
Japan. Well, that's not too far from my vision. My dream um, is to turn these into a series of something that could look great in an actual series on Netflix or uh,
Oh,
something
great.
more realistic. But that is something I'm outside of doing more just versions of the same style book. I'm working on a novel that takes this world and puts a plot to it.
Oh,
Um, a beginning, a middle, and end properly. Act 1, Act 2,
yeah.
and 3, and it's sort of in the of a film or at least a 30-minute sitcom.
That's great. You should definitely do that. Yeah. I mean, well, Office Space is one of my all-time favorite movies. And, I mean, there's so much to relate to in that. Plus, from our experience as a quote unquote salaryman in Japan, a Westerner's point of view, it would be perfect genre for that. So either movie or, yeah, right. You could do like the Japanese equivalent of The Office almost.
Yeah, those are all inspirations. I read and watch everything in this genre Office Space, The Office. Little known great gem of a dark comedy called Clock Watchers from the late
Ooh.
'90s. Jennifer Aniston's in it, and Lisa Kudrow.
Oh,
It's about these temp workers in the U.S. It's a great little
oh,
gem.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I might have seen it. Great. By the way, we have a, question.
Sure.
How about having a comedy club with that kind of joke telling?
Oh yeah, like a stand-up club, but don't expect little set up punchline comedians. But pe- people, it would have to have a visual element, showing these illustrations that go with
Mm,
joke, uh, is a big part of it. So I have had the vision of Meshida, my collaborator for the Japanese translation. He uses some props and visual gags with his comedy, um,
ah,
and that works. And I think it works in smaller venues like cafes. That
mhm.
does a stand up in is 10, 20 people usually, and there's more interaction between the crowd and him. And there's a lot of visual elements that allow. I think when you're in a big club, there's a cadence and an expectation for that stand up um, you know, routine of the
Yes.
setup. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when you get people more in a relaxed atmosphere of like a cafe or even a bar, um, then you can probably take a little more license with the visual part and
Yeah.
not have to be so um, funny on demand. It's like the
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you know what? We haven't announced this yet, but there's a small group of Western Substackers that have a line chat together, a line group that I'm a member of, and we've been brainstorming about putting together a live, like informal little dinner party. I mean, just not sit down dinner, but just to have a cocktail party type of thing with hors d'oeuvres and things in Tokyo in November. So I'm trying to plan that right now. Maybe we can find a safe setting for you to test this material on if you'd be interested.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, yeah, that won't boo me off the stage if I'm terrible. But
We guarantee that would be you'd be with among friends. So,
all right,
okay, great.
I'm game.
Well, give that's my homework, so I'll keep working on that, and we'll get the date and all this information out. But wonderful, thanks for sharing that. And one small thing, but maybe we can jump to your previous book for a second. Now, when I first got my copy, I can't remember if it was an ebook or not, but you were still going by a pen name, Michael Howard. But now you dropped that quite a while ago, but after I read the book. So, why did you start with a pen name?
I was being very conservative. I was working at Amazon Japan at the time, and when I mentioned to people I was writing this book, my colleagues, Japanese colleagues mostly, the reaction was mixed. Some of them were like, "Cool, great, awesome," and then there was like some who I were like, I felt were like, "If you can do this, you're not working hard enough." If you can write a
Oh
book,
my god, that is such a typical reaction. I thought you were going to say that they were that you're going to showcase them behind their back or something in there.
well, of course, I don't do that in the book. I remove anything that could identify anybody or any company because it's about
Hmm.
culture gap. It's not about companies specifically. Um, and I also thought Japan is pretty strict traditionally on having a second job. If you're a Seishan permanent employee,
True, true.
and so I was just being very conservative. I thought, all right, why don't I don't want to write this with that worry on my mind and publish it with that worry on my mind when I have this nice job. But I quickly realized, 6 months later, I was like, some people were like, "Who's this Howard?" And like, "What?" I thought it was confusing
Yeah.
people who knew me,
Mm.
and I just thought this is ridiculous. Forget it. It didn't matter.
Okay. But you took the opportunity, though, to add a couple of extra chapters, right? When you came up with a new version with your own name.
Yeah. So I changed the Mike Howard to Mike Thuresson, my real name, probably within a year after the first version came out in 2019. But then, no, about 2 years ago, in 2020, yeah, 23 actually, 3 years ago, I looked at doing some revision to. I actually hired a proper editor to go through it and really edit it and clean it up a little. Uh, and then I said, if I'm going to go to the trouble to do that, I'm going to add a couple of new chapters. And so I did. I added that whole trip I told you about of moving back to Chicago in the middle of COVID, and then come back to Japan. And this time I was divorced. That's a whole nother story. And so I was back in Japan in the second stint, and I started doing. This is the middle of COVID, so how do you meet people? It's dating apps. And so in Japan, one chapter was about my experiences with as a single salaryman doing dating apps. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious, and, I flipped through that very quickly. You had, like, 4 different really unusual dates. All of them didn't really work out.
Yeah,
What was it? I mean, don't give it away, but was there a happy ending to all this?
yeah, I met someone really nice at the end of this. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm married again yet, but, I met someone, yeah, it had a good ending. I met someone really cool and nice.
Okay, no, no. Let's not go there. Alright, and so the person you met obviously is not showcased in the book. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, not in the book, no.
Just the nightmare stories. Alright, well, great. I think, all of us can commiserate with that. Very good. And then, so in the remaining time that we've got, first of all, quick shout out to everyone who's online. Now we have even more. Oh, and I see somebody who is a previous guest on the Real Gaijin AMA podcast, Tibby. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to say your name since you've been out here already. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments for Mike, put them in the chat because we only have a few minutes left. But let's talk a little bit more about what else is on in the future besides all of these creative ideas for expanding the Salaryman series. Are you going to be working as a Salaryman to pay the bills indefinitely here in Japan?
Yeah, I should probably lead the whole podcast with that I am looking for a job. No, but
Oh, that's
hey,
right. Okay, okay.
but
A
yeah,
full-time position.
these books are not
Okay.
not a, it's not a living, this is, you'd have to be pretty prolific to be making a living from self-publishing, books, and I only have 2. Uh, so yeah, looking for another product management or related role or something in digital publishing, ideally, in Japan would be great. I'm working on the novel, of course, as I mentioned, that's based on the world that I've created here, with a
Yeah,
plot or twist, but it's a comedy. Uh, uh, I mentioned Meshida, the Japanese translator for
yeah. Mm,
he's very developed online as far as his channel, and he does
mm.
short videos and his stand-up act in person. But he and I are going to be starting a podcast uh,
Oh,
very soon.
great.
So look out for that.
And is that gonna be in English or in Japanese? Oh, I
Oh,
guess
and
in English.
yeah, in
Okay.
English.
Good. Great. Yeah, we wanna check that out. And, wow, maybe you could even do a micro drama series, right?
He does a lot. He has some very funny clip shorts on Instagram and YouTube where he does get out and shoot situational skits
Oh,
in Tokyo with
oh,
foreigners and he sort of sets the scene, and so we have a plan to do some of that, uh, depicting some of the situations maybe in this or others.
yeah, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, this is great. So we're just on the verge of even more creativity. Terrific. Looking forward to it.
yeah. Thanks. Me too. Me too.
Alright. Well, everyone, we're coming up to the end of our time. If you got any questions, comments, now's the time, or forever hold your peace here. But of course, in the final write up, and also this was in the invitation, I'll put links to Mike's site where you can buy the books, contact him directly. He's also on LinkedIn, as a typical salaryman would be. Or actually, most Japanese salarymen are not on LinkedIn, but
Right.
that could be a whole new chapter. But in any case, Mike, do you have any final comments, shout out other than please buy the book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I talked about self-publishing and a little bit of the ins and outs of it. I've only touched on it's complex. The term self is not very pertinent. It's actually you can do it yourself, but it can be complicated and overwhelming, especially if you work full time. So
Ooh.
I do have a side business where I consult people and help them publish the
Awesome.
book using self-publishing.
You walk them through the process.
Yeah, and sometimes more than walk through, depending on what they need. If you have your own
Oh,
writing, your own book, and you want to write yourself, I can just help with just getting it edited and who to find to do it and who to find for
I
the
don't
cut,
know.
how to how to put it on
Ooh.
KDP on. But if you need help with the writing and the editing, I can also delve in there. So I am available. It's on my website, my author site. There's a whole subpage called, Life Story Services. If you want to write your own life story or business story and don't know how to do it or something, but you're not sure it's ready, I'm definitely able to help.
Ooh, very good, very good. Oh, we have another comment. I suggest using AI to help with self-publishing and ad placement and promoting. It has been amazing. Shout out to Claude Design. Is
Oh
that
yeah.
what you do? Okay.
Well, I find that I didn't use AI at all as far as like, of course, the writing or anything like that, but I found it very useful for helping me decide how to design the interior of this.
Okay.
You could hire an interior designer for a very visual book with bilingual typography is complicated. It would be expensive, $2,000 probably for a freelance designer to do that. And I did
Ooh.
it all myself not because I'm a great designer, but I had the right questions that mold it and have AI sort of guide me. Like, is this the right placement for this? What's the best placement for that? And it took a ton of it to get this to look the way it is and balanced the way it is.
That's very good advice. Well, by the way, the same person that put that comment in said, quote unquote, don't use AI not to write the book, just like you.
Yeah,
Good advice.
that's sacred. That is sacred and should be. But as far as helping you with production and workflows that
Mm.
are not related to the editorial, it's a godsend, really.
Okay. Hey, that's great. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So, boy, I might even take you up on that service at some point and think about what to write about. But in any
Yeah.
case, very good. So you can do all sorts of different things. All right. Well, I thank you for your time today, Mike. And it was fun reading your newest piece and the first of many Salarymanhood books to come. And of course, I enjoyed the original one about Salaryman back in 2019. We're looking forward to a lot of great things and creative outlets to all this energy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I look forward to interacting with anyone that has any questions after this and let me know if I can help anyone do their own book.
Great. Good. All right. Well, have safe travels back from Chicago to Tokyo in a couple of days. And we'll look forward to catching up, hopefully in person
Yeah,
later in the year.
that'd be great. All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
All right. My pleasure. All right. Well, just once again, we'll put links to all of this information, including how you can purchase the new book uh, through Mike's site and Amazon.com. A link within Mike's site to that. But thank you, everybody, for joining. We had quite a number of people. Have a great rest of your day in Tokyo. And Mike, have a good evening in Chicago.
All right. Thank you.
お疲れ様でした。
Thanks for watching and or listening to another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts on Real Gaijin. Tell us what you think and be sure to tune in again next time.
Woo!